Hello, welcome back to Digging in the Dirt podcast. My name is Jonathan Trotter, and it is such a privilege to have some time to share with you. If you're watching this, I'm trying something new. I'm trying to record the podcast and publish it as a podcast while also recording a video and then publishing that on YouTube and sharing on Facebook and stuff. So, hello, I'm waving to you if you can see me. If you are listening in on the podcast, welcome too, of course. Thank you for spending some time with me as we read through my new little book called Digging in the Dirt, Musings on Missions, Emotions, and Life in the Mud. Today I want to read the little chapter called One Simple Way to Bless Third Culture Kids. So a small chapter, but this is not a small topic. And Elizabeth and I have written quite a bit about TCKs, third culture kids in other places. But let me just jump in and read this chapter to you. It starts on page 33 of Digging in the Dirt. One Simple Way to Bless Third Culture Kids. Tanya Crossman writes, "My book is called Misunderstood because that is how many young TCKs feel." Hannah, a 9-year-old TCK, writes, "There's a book written about me. It's called My Passport." Sometimes when kids grow up among worlds, they end up feeling completely and totally misunderstood. They may feel misunderstood by the societies they've grown up in and the societies they've returned to. They may feel misunderstood by the nuclear families they've grown up in and the extended families they've returned to. So what do? What can parents do? Parents who know they don't understand all the ins and outs of growing up globally. Well, what do we do when we interact with anyone we want to get to know better? Read a book, Google them, ask other people, read an article, maybe. Typically, the best solution is to treat them like the unique human beings they are and start asking questions. I think that one of the simplest things we can do to help the TCKs in our life to feel more seen, more loved, and less misunderstood is to get better at asking questions. Of course, we also need to care about their answers. I cannot remember who said it, but I once heard someone say, "Smart parents give their kids lots of answers, but wise parents ask their kids lots of questions." I think I agree. Questions confer value and open the door to deeper intimacy. Asking questions makes us more like Christ. One scholar has identified 307 individual questions that Jesus asked during his earthly ministry. It's hard to ask questions, though, because we have to shut up long enough to listen to the answers. Most of us simply prefer giving answers to asking questions. Oh, that we would excel in question asking. And not because we're trying to control or manipulate, but because we're genuinely interested in what people have to say. One teenager who grew up overseas said that she would love to be asked, quote, "any meaningful question by someone who was truly interested in knowing the answer." No two stories are the same. I've had teenagers in Cambodia thank me for not being a TCK. I was a bit confused until they explained. Sometimes adult TCKs come in here and think they know everything about us because they grew up abroad too. But they have no idea. Apparently, I earned points for knowing what it was that I didn't know, which caused me to keep asking questions. May we all know what it is that we don't know, and may that knowledge lead us to ask questions. May we echo the angel of the Lord in Genesis 16 when he asked Hagar, "Where have you come from, and where are you going?" May we communicate to the TCKs in our life that we care about where they've come from, that we care about their stories, the good stuff, and the hard stuff. May we communicate to the TCKs in our life that we also care about where they're going, that we care about their hopes and their dreams and their fears. And at the end of the day, may they feel, as Hagar did, seen, understood. Of course, we can't fully know or understand another human, but we can keep asking questions. We can keep being interested. We can keep reading their book, even if it's as small as a passport. Again, thanks for tuning in. I know that's a short little chapter. Some of the chapters in Digging in the Dirt are. I will add a little bit here. The TCK who told me, like, that they wish somebody would just ask questions. I was on a trip in China with a wide variety of TCKs, some missionary kids, some embassy kids or government worker kids, some business kids. And it was just so interesting because that was the first time I think that I had heard a TCK, excuse me, a TCK just say, hey, you don't have to know everything about the TCK life. You don't have to know everything about our world. And I didn't. I was pretty new. We'd only been overseas for a couple of years, maybe 3 at the time. I didn't know a lot. Excuse me. But that didn't seem to be a liability, actually, with those students at that conference. They were so happy that I didn't know about third culture kids, that I didn't know all the stuff about third culture kids, because I was asking them questions, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun to hang out with them and ask them loads of questions. So maybe take this as an encouragement, and I'm taking it as a reminder to myself, since I have 3 teenagers and one 20-year-old TCK, to continue asking questions, to listen and to ask questions and to care about the answers. So again, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Digging in the Dirt podcast. The book, of course, is available on Amazon and Kindle and print if that's something you're interested in, or just keep tuned in. When I have time, I will add chapter by chapter by chapter, hopefully eventually through the whole thing. So reach out if you have any thoughts or questions. Reach out through the podcast or by email. Like I've mentioned in other episodes, one of the things that I would like to do in this podcast is read a chapter and also address a question or two from listeners. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. Otherwise, I will say farewell and go with God.